What's going on, everybody? It's Brandon here. We were trying to go live with you on Facebook, but there were some technical difficulties going on. So we're just going to record the video here and just publish it out later today. But the goal of this video is to kind of share our progress as the podcast continues to grow and the group continues to grow. As of today, we've been live on the podcast for 1 week now. We've released 9 episodes. I know that doesn't make a whole lot of sense for 1 week, but we'll kind of talk about the strategy that we had a little bit to have us have 9 episodes for the first week. We'll go through some of the charts and kind of some the insights that are provided to us through Apple and a few other sites like that, just to show where we are today and things like that. And joining us is Stuart. For those of you who don't know, it's actually my dad, business partner. Kind of tied
And
him
yes, it's weird that it's son and dad, but that's okay.
Yes, it kind of tied him into a lot of this, but it's going well. He's our advisor. He's been in, he's run his own business for over 30 years now. So he kind of oversees a lot of the stuff that we're doing, and he's on the back end of a lot of things. You'll see him commenting and posting on Facebook a lot. So he's kind of our mentor throughout this. So like a lot of our interviewees say, get a mentor. He was our quickest, easiest mentor to grab a hold to. So with that, let's get started with some of the analytics and things like that for the first week.
Yeah, and I just want to say that we kind of put this together last minute, so Will wasn't able to join us tonight, but hopefully going forward we'll do this. And we're not necessarily going to do this every week, but we certainly want to be transparent, let people know how things are progressing, and kind of grow with us and see the progress. And thanks to the 280 members of the group page as of tonight for your participation, and hopefully as every time we come back we'll see many more people. I know Brandon wants to give a couple of shout outs to some people that were active on the boards. And
yeah, there's one, Tyler Sprague. I'm sorry if I pronounce your name wrong, but I think he got some real value from the group today and contributing. And one of his posts towards the end, he commented, me answering your questions today has been a reminder to myself, everyone needs help refocusing sometimes. Thanks. And that's really what this group's about. This group is not necessarily here to sell you a bunch of stuff or really anything like that. We're here to come together as a community, as a Wealth Junkies community, and help everybody create freedom for themselves. So we really want to hear about everybody's success. Our goal is to interact with you as much as possible, whether it be me, Stuart, Will, or really anybody in the group. If you see somebody on the group that has a comment that relates to you or something that you think you can provide value to, comment on it. We want to build this community as big as we can and help as many people as possible. Like our mission is to help liberate 1,000 people from the W-2 rat race to create their own freedom. So this is where it starts. It's not necessarily on the podcast, but this group is where it starts. So.
And I just want to add that there's quite a few members that already own their business, have done so for quite some time, and have already jumped in and helped others out. And if you've read through any of the comments, you'll notice that one of the things that I try to do in just the last couple of days is to hook people up and connect them with somebody that we may know that already has experience in what they're looking to do, or if we think they can help them, because that's really kind of what it's all about. It's all about your network. We're going to leverage our networks to try to help you out and see if we can't move you along, regardless of what business you're looking to start or grow. So hopefully as the group grows, we'll have more resources for you and more connections. And, when you come into the group, when we accept you, we are creeping on you a little bit. We're looking at your profile to see who you are and what you're doing and what you're up to, so that we can get a better understanding of what you got going on and how we may be able to help you. Creeping on you may be a bad word, but it helps to understand the members that are coming in so that we can leverage everybody's skills and expertise and pass that along and use it to everybody's advantage. So as Brandon mentioned, we're just going to take through the statistics, and he mentioned that 9 episodes is a little awkward for a week, but the strategy behind that was, we had actually engaged a podcast consultant, Polymash, a gentleman by the name of Jurgen, Highly recommend Jurgen and his services at polymash.com. He's got a ton of value on his website.
A lot of free value too.
A ton of free value. Extremely active in the podcasting community, and really knows his stuff, and really helped us. Our original launch date was back in early November 4th, I believe.
Yep.
And then we kind of realized that, whoa, we really don't know what we're doing. We thought that it was a matter of, just let Will and Brandon start interviewing people, and they got a microphone, and Brandon posted the video the other day where it was really just, hey, here's the setup. It's
my shoe closet of a recording studio.
Yeah, and it's not my basement, by the way.
Yeah, it's an actual room in my own house.
But it doesn't take a lot to get the interview portions going. But what we realized was that there's a tremendous amount of work to get this to the point it is today, which may not look like a lot to you guys, but there really is a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes to get that website looking the way it does and have all the episodes come out. I think the episodes get released now at 5 a.m, so that they're hitting all the podcast services by the time people are driving to work. The story page goes to the website in conjunction with that. There's just a lot of things that have to hit on all cylinders for this to run smoothly. Even accepting people into the group, there's a process behind that. You could go on Facebook and just approve, but there's systems in place to do all that. And we really got to hand it to Jurgen at Polymash for all the help that he provided and the guidance there. Running a business is one thing. Running a podcast is a whole different ballgame.
And running a daily podcast is in a different ballgame than a podcast itself is.
Yeah. Once a week podcast would be
doable,
easy street at this point versus a daily podcast. So a lot of work goes into it. But we're not here to bitch and complain. We're just here to kind of give you a little bit of behind the scenes look. So the first thing that we'll kind of look at is what we call Libsyn. Libsyn is where we're currently hosting all of the podcasts. And the way Libsyn works is we upload the MP3 files, which is the audio files, to Libsyn, and then they're scheduled for release and so forth to the various services. So we're going to take a look at the show stats. So we had a little bit of confusion, so don't pay attention to the release dates necessarily early on. But what this shows is since release, we've had 456.
Can you share your screen?
Oh, I'm sorry. You should have caught me earlier.
I wasn't sure if you were anticipating.
All right. So let's go back. So we're on Libsyn, and we're currently showing 456 unique downloads. Now, we really don't have anything to gauge this to. There really isn't a whole lot of benchmark statistics out there to compare to, especially when you're doing a daily show.
And this is why we're doing this. So that way, if someone down the line decides they want to do a daily show, they can come look at us and say, hey, their first week, they had this, blah, blah, blah.
Right. So the other thing that factors in uniquely, if we were doing a show, let's say training your Labrador Retriever, obviously the audience size is much smaller, and somebody might be ecstatic with these statistics in their first week. We're in a very large category. We're primarily in the business category under the subcategory of entrepreneurship, which is a very competitive category. And there are some very large podcasts. Gary Vee, for example, is the number one podcast. I think Tim Ferriss holds the second spot.
Yep.
Those guys are huge in the business world and have millions of listeners. So breaking into this category is pretty difficult. We're going to show you something pretty cool in a few minutes that we were really excited to see that occurred in the first weekend. But anyway, so we've had 456 unique downloads. Now we're still not running on Google Play because that takes a little bit longer to get approved, and it hasn't happened yet. But you can see this is ordered by the top episode so far. And the episode they did with Bucky Potter, who runs the Potter Potties business, so far is doing the best with 92 downloads. But what you don't know is I also promoted that podcast via Facebook. So we had some ads running to gain some additional downloads on that that particular episode. One of the reasons why we did that is we felt that the story, the headline, would be a little bit more intriguing. And in addition, both Will and Brandon grew up with Bucky, and it was a good segue for their friends in the local community and things of that nature. So that one is outperforming as expected. Next, we had the trailer episode, which stays on there all the time. It's listed as WJ0, and we've had 66 people listen to that. Now, the confusing thing for us is we've got about 280 members in the group. Why don't we have 280 downloads of each and every episode? We get it. Not everybody listens to podcasts. Maybe they're going to the website and they're reading the show notes or something, and that's fine. We appreciate that. But what we really would like to ask you to do to help us out is to subscribe, whether it's through Apple or Spotify or Stitcher or whatever your preferred service is. It would really help us out if you subscribe, listen to the episodes, try to listen to as much of the episode as you possibly can. And then you could really help us out by giving us a rating and a review, a written review. All of those things go into the algorithm that Apple uses to rank us higher in the category. The higher we get in the category, the more organic searches or clicks that we get through. And that's really how you build the ultimate show in the long run.
And that'll help more listeners get into the Facebook group, and that'll be more connections for you to reach out to, more connections for us to connect you with. So the more that our show is promoted and reviewed and rated, the better off everyone is, to be honest.
Yep. So this is our Libsyn statistics, and I think there's going to be some listeners out there that I know there's a few members actually that have their own podcast or starting their own podcast. We're actually pretty happy with these results so far. It doesn't seem like a lot where only 28 people have listened. But if you look, it's really about where these are at in 30 days. And to give you some statistical idea, we found a graphic the other day. If an episode has 120 listens at the 30-day mark, you are in the top 50% of all podcasts. If you can get to 770, I believe you were in the top 20% of all podcasts.
Let me try to pull it up.
Yeah. So, we think we're on really good track to do this. And we realize that some people may have subscribed and they download and they just haven't had a chance to listen to. Sometimes Will and Brandon get a little long-winded with their guests. Some of the episodes may be 40 minutes or so. So we understand that you may not have had a chance to listen to some of the episodes yet, but we get it. In addition, from a listening standpoint, I'm in the staffing business and the real estate business. Not all of these interviews are about the staffing business and the real estate business, but that's never mattered to me. I've always found the value in talking to other business owners, regardless of what business they're in. There was some things in Bucky's episode that I learned that I didn't know and that were helpful. There's information from Martin in his interview that deals with digital marketing and things like that. All of those things go into running a business, whether they may answer an accounting question. That affects just about every business, right? So it really doesn't matter if that's not what you're looking to do. You should try to listen to the people that they have on and just take away one or two nuggets of information that'll really help you out.
Yeah. And you can spend $30,000-$40,000 on a mentor and get all those answers, or you can spend 40 minutes a day while you're driving to work, sitting in traffic like we do up in Northern Virginia up here, and get your free advice, get your free information. So, not telling you not to get a mentor, but we're trying to provide these individuals to you for free.
Well, I think one of the biggest things that I've gotten, and I've obviously listened to some of these episodes before they were released, but every one of these guys that you've interviewed so far started with nothing. And in most cases, really, really started with nothing. I mean, some of them didn't have, more than a few $100 to start with. And I think it was Martin started in a college dorm room. You had actually asked him, or Will asked him, where'd you get the money to start this? And he said, well, we really didn't need a whole lot. We just had our computers and, we did paper flyers and that was it. You had Daniel who started with $100 and,
came from a whole different country.
Came from a different country and talked somebody into paying for his schooling and created a business after that. Steve Sims, whose episode was today, literally started with nothing. He is son of a bricklayer and, fascinating stories, by the way. That guy's a great storyteller. So if you haven't listened to that one, it's a pretty entertaining interview. But all these guys really started with nothing. I think, who is it? Walchef.
Yeah, Sean Walchef.
Sean Walchef.
Great guy.
He kind of got in the restaurant business by accident and, realized that, okay, this isn't working. I got to figure out how to leverage, social media, which I know nothing about, and figured it all out. So lots of little nuggets in each of these episodes. But anyway, let's get back to what we're talking about. So we had 456 unique downloads. I'm going to jump over to Google Analytics, and you can see here, this is the last 7 days. We've had 392 users, making up 452 total sessions.
Is this for the website?
This is for the website. This is for the main page of the website. Currently, there's nobody on it. So if we were live, I'd ask you guys to go on it right now, and you would see these numbers jump live. So hopefully we'll get that working in the future. And we can scroll down. We can see traffic by channel. So this gives you an idea. This is the 13th when we launched and we really started promoting things. You can see we had a lot of hits to the website that day. 120 of those hits came directly from social, which was primarily Facebook. 15 of them were direct. So that means somebody typed in wealthjunkies.com. Organic search is when somebody's searching for a particular topic and they stumble across maybe a Google listing, they click on it and they end up with us. And a referral is typically from a site that maybe somebody else has posted something about us on and so forth. So you can see, we had a big push that first day. We were doing a little bit of Facebook advertising, and things kind of dropped off from there. So we're hovering somewhere around 50 to 75 visits to the website each day for the last 7 days. And if we I can look at today's results, and this is by hour. If I change to today up here, we're sitting currently at 44 users, 46 sessions. So we're running about the same track by the time we get to midnight tonight. And I think Google runs on a server that's a few hours behind on us. So we'll be in that same 50 to 75 by the time it happens for the end of the night. So we're using all these things to kind of track the statistics. This is kind of a low level. We have also goal completions. So let's talk about our goal completions. On our website, we have a free ebook, 5 things you should consider before 5 things to, let me make sure I got that down right.
5 things to do when you hate your job and have that entrepreneurial itch.
Thank you, Brandon.
Yes.
So if you haven't been to the website, but you're part of the group, we really encourage you to go grab this, put in your name, your email, and you're going to be able to download it on the page that follows once you click on the Count Me In. It's very short, take you just a few minutes to read, but if you're looking to start a business or even if you're looking to grow one, just take a few minutes to read this, and it's kind of the basis for the show and the group and the things that contemplated. If you've listened to Will, he recently gave up a very, very well paying position to pursue his freedom. And Will wrote this several months ago and put it together. And when I read it, I was like, hey, that's pretty good. It's all the steps that he took to kind of put himself in a position to be able to leave his job, work on the show, work on real estate, and really have that freedom. So kudos to him for taking those steps and putting this together for you guys. So please, if you haven't gotten this yet, go ahead and do that. So let's kind of go through, we'll talk about how we check We use a service called Chartable. This kind of aggregates the downloads that we see. You'll see that some of the numbers don't match up just because of the times that things replicate and sync up across different servers. But essentially, this one's showing 440 downloads, and we've grown by 21,900% this week. If we could see that every week, we'd be really excited. The confirmed plays there's a big lag in that. So really, again, this 30D is what it's about at 30 days. It's all in podcasting world. It's really all about where you're at 30 days from launch, 30 days from the launch of a particular episode. So you want to see that going. We've got 20 written reviews. Again, if you have a chance.
I think we're at 32.
Well, we're at 32 ratings. So we're at 32 ratings, which is we're all 5-star ratings, and we thank everybody for that. But only 20 people have written reviews. So obviously the ratings help, and it helps when somebody goes and is looking at a particular podcast to consider listening to. They want to see that, there's some ratings, and eventually somebody's not going to like the show and they're going to leave us a poor rating. And just like anything else, if you go to Yelp, you're looking at a particular restaurant, but it's got a 4.9 rating, you still feel pretty good about it. And you usually disregard those 1 or 2 people that weren't satisfied, because you can't please everybody. And our goal isn't to please everybody. We hope everybody likes the show, but we realize that, hey, maybe they catch an interview that didn't really gel with them, and they decide, oh, this isn't for me, or whatever. And these guys are new at interviewing. There's going to be some ums and some ahs. We promise you they're getting better. We hope
so.
We won't give away too much information, but there's a lot of interviews to come, and I think you'll be pleased with the direction that things go. So this is what we're looking at. But what we see down here, this doesn't give us a time, but we ranked 134 in the category on Apple Podcasts for entrepreneurship. But I want to show you something. This is what got us super excited this past weekend. Our peak position, we reached number 40, and we reached that literally the first weekend. So I don't know where. On December 14th, we were ranked 124. Excuse me. And within the first weekend, we shot up to number 40, and Apple looks at that and says, hey, this new show launched, and they've got a lot of listeners coming on board, and a lot of ratings and a lot of rankings. And we stayed there for several days. We lost a little bit of momentum, and then today we took a big drop. Now we believe that we took a big drop partially because Wednesdays are one of the most popular days for weekly podcasts to come out. So on a Wednesday, we may not be as competitive, but this chart updates, I believe it's like every 6 hours. So it could be, I think we were at 53 this morning, and then we dropped to, 134. So we're not overly concerned about this in the short term. It's really where we end up in 30 days from now, 60 days from now, 90 days from now, and then a year from now, et cetera, et cetera. So, we were happy to see that we had reached 40. That's a big deal. It's kind of like getting on the first page of Google. It's a big deal.
Oh, we're still trying to make our way on a new and noteworthy and all that. But
yes.
For the first week, I'd say top 40. And that, when you start seeing your show up near, Ed Milet and Andy Frisella and the Barbara from Shark Tank, I forgot her last name. You start
Corcoran.
seeing, Barbara Corcoran. You start seeing your logo kind of near theirs. It gets you a little excited. So, and that, like Stuart was saying, that a lot of that is, all of that's really from people listening, rating, reviewing, all that. So,
yep. So, a few things that we're going to ask for your help. Number one, we are on Twitter, but we have no followers on Twitter because we're a new handle. So we need some help on Twitter. It's wealth_junkies. If you could go on there, we're a lot of the things that you'll see on Facebook are going to be on there, but there are a little bit different twists to the way things are laid out. But again, it's all about what you like and retweet. So if you could do that. Brandon runs the Instagram channel, which I believe is just @WealthJunkies. Is that correct?
Yeah, it should be. Let me just check @WealthJunkies. I'm pretty sure it is. Yep. Which, as of launch date, I think we probably gained about 20 followers. So which is good. A lot of the people that we interview are already followed on there, and they're following us back. So if you wanted to get connected with them or reach out to them, you can kind of just go through our followers and find them on there too. Yeah, it's at Wealth Junkies. You'll find it. We've got 62 followers right now, so let's get to 100.
Yeah, let's try to make let's get that to 300. If you're on Instagram and you're on Twitter, please help us out and go become a follower on there. It'd be a real big plus to us. So let's jump into the Facebook stuff for a minute. So this is actually, am I still sharing?
You're not.
All right. So we have two different pages. We have,
by the way, this confused me. So it's a learning lesson every time.
So Brandon doesn't understand the difference between a page and a group. So I will briefly explain it. So a page to Facebook, a page is a business page, and there's certain things that you can and can't do. So for example, on a business page, which this is our business page, we can't friend people. You can't do friend requests, and you can't have people join your page. People can like or follow your page. But you can't interact with them in the same way. A listener can't go on here and write a comment necessarily and things of that nature. So you're also seeing it the way I see it as the admin. So
scroll back down a little bit. And as of today, we've got 983 people who like this page.
Yes.
Awesome.
So we are heavily promoting this. A lot of the people that came to the group, that you came via a sponsored ad. And obviously we're trying to drum up interest in the show and interest in the group. We definitely want to grow the group. So we do have a lot more likes than we have people in the group, and that's okay. But there are a couple of things that can happen once we get to 2,000 likes. Facebook turns on some additional features on the business page. So we're looking to hit that milestone. But this is in just 1 week, guys. This is pretty awesome. And people
almost 1,000 likes in 1 week.
Yeah, 1,000 likes. And, eventually, so what happens is when we send out a post on this page, anybody that's liked it, it'll show up in their feed. And if they interact with it, then the more we post, the more they'll see. And again, the whole idea is to drive you into the group to be interactive. So we don't do interactive things on the page like we do in the group. In fact, the podcast versions will eventually stop coming out on the business page, and they'll only be posted to the group. So let's jump over to the group page then. So in the group, I have a lot of groups. Sorry.
Right there.
Yep. All right. So in the group page, we got somebody that wants to join. There's an approval process that if you haven't been directly invited, then you have to answer a few questions. But we have, I think at the moment,
281 members.
281 members. And
earlier today, around 5:00, I put out a new post welcoming all our members. And since that, we have 5 new members. So within just a few hours, we have 5 new members on top of that post. So 4 hours prior to this recording, we had over 100 new members within just a few days.
Yep.
So
anyway, so again, 280 plus people in the group, but we clearly don't have that many downloads on the
so if you're not subscribed, go and subscribe now.
Be subscribed. And if you're interested when you come here, if you just want to say, hey, what's the where's the podcast episodes, you could click here in the popular topics. If you want to see some of the articles that I've written, most of the articles are business related, and they're being written by me. Eventually we'll have some additional articles, and we're going to have some additional advisors that join the group. So that's kind of the insight into the first week and how we're doing. We're pretty excited about the way things are going. We didn't really have expectations. In fact, the consultant that I mentioned that we hired warned us and repeatedly warned us that, hey, launching your podcast is really not the time to get excited. It's all the things that happen afterwards. It's what happens in the next 30 days. That's really where you build your podcast. And we're trying to build this eventually to where people on the internet just searching for various things find us. And the reason why that's important is because it's free, right? So you get to drive people to the site for free. And right now, if you just Googled Wealth Junkies, the thing that's happening, so all of this is getting indexed, and you can see Spotify's now picking us up on the first page. Stitcher's got us there, obviously the main page there. Player FM, Libsyn's got us. You'll see some of the photos are getting picked up. Apple Podcasts has got us here. We're now, Facebook's got us showing on the first page. This wasn't like this just 2 days ago, guys. So for us, it's a big deal. And we have a YouTube channel. We are posting some of the videos. For members, we're also posting them to the group page. So we've got some of the actual videos. If you go and you watch the video, you'll actually see the interview happening, which some people prefer that. So you can always join us on YouTube as well. And, eventually we'll get all this built out and as we learn and grow, you guys will benefit. And that's kind of the idea. Eventually we'd love to see some of the people that started with us this past week end up being guests on the show.
Absolutely.
So we really wish we were doing this live, but one of the things we'd ask of you is when you do watch this video, and we're going to cut it off here because we don't want to keep you for too long, but let us know if you took anything away from any of the shows, if you got some little nuggets out of it, if there's things that you liked in particular, if there's things that you don't like, if you have any suggestions for these guys when they're doing these interviews. We're completely open to it. And we're trying to build a business, which let's talk about that as kind of a closing thing. We got into this because we own a company called CEO Capital Partners. And, if you listen to the show, then you know that Wealth Junkies is sponsored by CEO Capital Partners. And CEO Capital Partners is in the real estate investing business. And Brandon and Will are my partners in that business. And we focus on multifamily apartment complexes.
Along with two other partners.
Along with two other partners, Janet and David, which eventually you will meet. So there's 5 of us in that. And we essentially help people earn passive income through investing in apartment complexes. And our niche, and the reason why it's named CEO Capital Partners, is because we focus on business owners and
executives,
busy executives. When you're a business owner, you may have a little bit of extra cash, but you don't necessarily have the time to be a landlord and things like that. And that's kind of how Wealth Junkies came to be. And we're going to have a special episode in the future that talks about the origin of Wealth Junkies, where it came from, where the ideas came from, and how it came to be.
A pretty good story. So
it is a good story.
That's an exciting one.
So, but we are doing this to support a business. It's a little unusual. Most people start a podcast to support a business in particular. Wealth Junkies kind of took on a life of its own. We think that there's a lot of value that we can provide to people, getting into business. But the bottom line is that Brandon and Will and myself and Janet and David, we spend a lot of time talking to business owners to talk to them about investing in real estate. And the simple idea was, well, gosh, instead of taking people to lunch and taking them to dinner and, having drinks with them, why not just put them in an interview and let everybody learn from them? And then at the same time, they're still exposed to what we do at CEO Capital Partners. So that's the brief story of how Wealth Junkies came to be. So again, help us out in various ways. Listen, subscribe, rate, review. Join us on Twitter, join us on Instagram, all those things. And we're here to help you. Let us know how we can do that in any way. Interact with us on the group. We really appreciate you joining this week.
All right.